Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Ground in with us. My name is Becca, SWIHA Success Coach on campus, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. We are going to talk about the amazing program that is changing lives in every way, shape, or form, personally, professionally. Amen. With James Patrick, Master Life Coach at SWIHA. Hi, James.
Hello, hello.
All
So,
right. So
yeah,
yeah, we're super excited. James let me know he's just going, going, going. So why not keep it going? We're inviting you into ask all of your questions about, what this is, where you can take this. We are so huge on actionable accountability. So we're gonna get real, what the industry's like, and really just see what questions you have. So let's dive right in. I'm Becca, SWIHA Success Coach. So I support our students and graduates in taking their education and making it, profitable in a loving way out in the world. So, James, you also wear so many hats, and thank you for all that you do. You also have taught this program for how long at SWIHA?
the life coaching, it's coming up almost 6 years, 7 years, I believe. Yeah,
Wow,
since we've been in the new building. So yeah, it's time flies.
awesome. I know, right? Okay. So we offer this on campus and online. So anyone who's joining us today, first of all, tell us where you are, like what brings you here, what's your why are you exploring life coaching, maybe what you want to do with it. But James, let's talk about what was your why? Why did you feel called to get established in this realm? And I see that you're using it in all the capacities possible. So let's
Yeah.
start there.
So I grew up pretty much as a life coach. I just didn't have a
Mm,
label or, a title to go with it because I was always the person growing up that everybody came to for an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on. I was always even if it was a complete stranger, within minutes of meeting somebody, they would just be like spewing out their entire life story to me because they would always be like, there's just something about you. And, I took that, when I was younger, I will say this: when I was younger, it was a part of what I associated my self worth to. And that was
mm,
not necessarily the healthiest approach, only because my self worth was tied to what I did for others and I was good at it. And
mm,
then years later, young adulthood and, tracking down the line, it was when I found SWIHA. And when I stepped into SWIHA and started looking at the different programs, I was raised with kind of the Tony Robbins way of thinking and, it's Tony Robbins School of Education, like all that good stuff. And I loved his approach to things. And when I found SWIHA, I started looking into the different programs, and life coaching was the one that stood out to me the most. And what I came to find out was that everything that I had been doing for most of my life is a part of who I am. And I am good at what I do. But what I lacked when I was younger was the ability to set boundaries and the ability to create space for myself while I was creating space for others. And the mistake I was making when I was younger was that I was fixing, saving, rescuing. And part of the whole mantra that I teach on campus in coaching in the very first weekend when we come together is your new mantra is I will not fix, I will not save, I will not rescue. Because as a life coach, part of our why is that not only are we working through our own stuff to become the best versions of ourselves, we are creating space for individuals to become the best version of themselves through what they already know. And we
mm,
know that a lot of times people know what they're supposed to do, and yet they also know what they're supposed to do. And these two spaces are going in two very different directions. And so, as a coach, we're bringing these two worlds together because we know that if we're listening to what we think we know up here, Casey Miller, our wonderful chief spiritual officer, we'll say, if you're listening to what's going on up here, you're listening to the echoes of the past, the things that no longer serve you. When we ground, when we center, when we listen to our truth and our knowing, and we drop into our heart space, or we drop into our core, it is a single voice that speaks your truth. It speaks your authentic self. And the question is, do we listen? And so a big part of my why is learning to listen to myself, learning to trust my knowing that I have the answers that I instinctively knew within, and being able to boldly go out into the world and do whatever it is that I chose to do along my purposeful path without getting in my own way, and still having the time and the energy and the space to support so many others as I have without sacrificing myself. And so I think that's a huge part of what coaching does for people personally and professionally, is that it forces us to get real with ourselves. It means that we have to work on our stuff and we have to help ourselves before we can help or support others. We are creating boundaries so that we can maintain our sanity in both our personal and professional lives. And you're going to be that much better off because of it. And that's what I always tell people. It's like, whether you're planning on going into life coaching to become a coach, or you're coming into life coaching just to learn new skills, to learn how to communicate, to learn how to listen, to learn how to be better in your everyday life, there's no losing in this. Like, it's a win-win situation for all. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, amen. I am right there with you. It took me a long time because I will own this. I think I've been pendulum swinging from, oh, healthy boundaries, and then, oh, I fall back into, you know, taking on the energies of the world, just kind of like a sponge. This is what I'm here for, almost like a tuning fork for the collective consciousness, if you will. And now there's this huge collective shift, right? And everyone's like waking up and owning and thinking about, what did we know, right? And what do we know? And how do we apply that and show up in our lives? So for all of you who are on this webinar with us, does that resonate what James just said? Like, are you like, oh my God, me too? Right? You've been the soundboard for everybody your whole life. They're just drawn to your energy, right? What about the shadow work part of self, James, for you? Like, in the integration and being like an empath, which I assume you identify as, right?
Yeah. So a lot of it is making sure that we are mindful of focusing on that world within.
Mm.
And, in all of our courses at SWIHA, not just in life coaching, a big part of what we teach is self-regulation, and being able to go to that inner world and not only be aware of, but also be able to name, some of those shadow pieces, we shall say, because we know that the things that we resist the most are typically the things that we need to work on the most. And what Casey will say sometimes is that our biggest work is oftentimes our biggest calling. Because when we come out on the other side of our shadow work, when we come out on the other side of what we have done internally, it makes us more prepared and ready to face on what's going on in the world externally. And, I would say this is like, in my opinion, like, this is the most wonderful times to be a coach, because you look at the world around us right now and it's like, the world has lost its damn mind. I'm like, what is going on? And it's because people are so dysregulated with what's going on externally versus how they're feeling and what's going on internally. And the beautiful work of a coach is that one of the principles of coaching is that it's not about me, right? It's about those I'm called to serve. And so I have the blessing of being able to coach and work with people who come from all different walks of life, all different belief systems, all different religions, all different political views, all different ways of showing up. And I get to still hold space for every single one of them, because a whole part of coaching is this concept of seek to understand, right? Even if I personally agree or disagree, it doesn't make a difference because it's not about me. I'm holding space for an individual to process whatever it is that they need because it is about who I am serving and it is about seeking to understand. And when we do that, in a lot of ways, we open ourselves up to other ways of seeing people, to other views, to other ways of thinking that maybe we wouldn't have considered. Doesn't mean I'm going to take them on as my own or that I'm going to necessarily change the way that I view the world, but it does open me up to seeing the world through the eyes of somebody else. And it's like, okay, like this is where they're at, this is what they need, and this is what I'm going to hold the space for. Because at the end of the day, it's making sure that an individual always leaves that space better than when they came. And so, what that looks like, how that feels, how that happens, there's a very intuitive piece to doing this work because your clients and even yourself as a coach, you need to trust in the process. You need to trust yourself. You need to know that there is as we call a blessing and a lesson in absolutely everything that we do. The question is, do you learn the blessing or do you repeat? And that's another one of our principles is that we repeat until we resolve. And so we have to be willing to do the work. Otherwise, these cycles and these patterns, these negative thoughts, beliefs, habits, they will repeat themselves until you actively make the choice to do the work and grow beyond your level of comfort, right? So we have our comfort, then we have our stretch zone, which is what we do in coaching. And we want to stay kind of in the stretch zone to find our personal edge in our work because we don't want to go into the panic zone because the panic is where we get dysregulated and we get stuck and where a lot of people can get stuck very easily. So comfort zone, stretch zone is where we tend to stay within coaching so that people know how to put themselves into the work and be able to pull themselves back out through the power of self-regulation.
Amen. And then we have the lovely word and the added fifth agreement, which is discernment. And I feel like the world is in a huge shift to be able to discern what's mine and what's not. And I think that's part of too, like you said, the knowing is because we're so programmed, right? If we're on social media, if we're watching the
Oh, yeah.
news, if we're getting caught up in the he said, she said, it's all this noise and then we play all these roles and there's archetypes, but it's like, okay, what is really me and what's not? So removing what's not yours and then being able to discern, right? Like what is true for you? What's your reality, right?
Yeah.
Reality is your perception, and everybody has different perception, so therefore different truths. So I think the world's in this whole push pull of, well, that's true, but that's true, and it's like, that's your experience and perception, and that's manifesting in XYZ. So I feel like life coaching helps us dial that back in, right? Like you said, bring it back to center, bring it back home. And then how do we apply that in our lives? And like you said, James, and the shadow self is something that we integrate. It's not bad, it's just not witnessed, right? It's the unconscious part of ourself, our subconscious, that when we make conscious, we can then start to integrate the lesson and show up and embody what we say we are, right? Sometimes we think we are, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Um, so curious for all of those who are on now, in as little words as possible, what do you think life coaching is? Like describe it. Life coaching is dot, right? James, so if someone walks up to you and they're like, what is life coaching? Like what is your like little elevator pitch in as little words as possible?
Well, it's interesting because, SWIHA has been doing life coaching for over 25 plus years. So we
Mm,
were kind of at the, forefront of when coaching was not quite as well known or
mm,
as widely accepted. And then in recent years, we've done and expanded into even the health and wellness coaching. So, I often tell people, it's like, life coaching is kind of like this big like header now because there are
mm,
hundreds of different types of coaches. Because even with life coaching, it's like, okay, you're going to be a coach. That's fantastic. A coach for what? Because we have to kind of lean and kind of hone in on what you want to be the coach for. What do you want to be known for? And so with SWIHA, it's life coaching and health and wellness coaching. And so a lot of times there's this struggle of understanding the differences between the two pathways that we provide. And I always tell people, I was like, life coaching really is for individuals who want to support people that are trying to get unstuck in life. And it's about life path, life purpose. I'm not happy with my career. I'm not happy with certain connections in my life. I feel unfulfilled, or there's just something missing. And you want to basically be the person that gets that individual unstuck and moving forward with a more purposeful path and a new life or worldview that is going to benefit them in the biggest possible way. Okay, so just kind of life path, life purpose, career, you name it. Health and wellness coaching is really more for those that are interested in supporting people, specifically that have health and disease or illness issues or certain limitations that require a coach to support lifestyle and behavior changes with regards to how they're living, with regards to eating, with regards to exercise, with regards to being mindful of, are they meditating because they're stressed out? Are they going and taking their medications like their doctor told them to because they have high blood pressure? Are they journaling, their cholesterol levels and their blood pressure levels like they're supposed to, so that when they go back to the doctor, that their odds of success go a little bit up because they have that extra accountability partner. So the separation between the two is really more health, illness, disease specific support, and then life path, life purpose support. And that's kind of the division between the two. However, I say this because, with all due respect, everybody needs to at least understand the need for both. Only because, as much as I respect somebody that has their life goals and their life purpose and the things that they want to do, that they have their vision boards and all these wonderful things, okay, great. I love that. And from a health and wellness perspective, if you're not taking care of yourself, or you don't have habits that are going to support what your body, your mind, and your spirit need in order to achieve these other goals, then it's not going to work. And so at the same time, it's like they both feed each other. And so we have to have a respect for both. And so, that's the beautiful part about how we teach it on campus and online. A lot of it, when it comes to the structure, the process, the ethics, it's all the same across the board, no matter what pathway you choose. It's just when you get to a certain point, life coaching is 100 hours and health and wellness coaching is 200 hours, just because the additional health classes are, the additional courses that people will need to take if they're interested in getting board certified. So just adding a little piece to our programs here, everything we do in life coaching does follow the required standards to go, if you choose, to go and get certified as a life coach through ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, or IAC, the International Association of Coaches. Obviously, our program is the first step towards some of their additional application processes, but we abide by the standards they require to get certified. And then on the other side, the health and wellness coaching, our program abides by NBHWC, which is the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, for those that want to be eligible to get board certified as a health and wellness coach. I started with life coaching with SWIHA. That's pretty much where most of my business, where most of my focus is. I did go and get board certified through NBHWC in 2021. Yeah, because I'm due for renewal this year.
I remember that. Yeah.
So 2021, I did get board certified and I did take the exam. So, is it a requirement for anybody to have the certification? No. Is it a best business practice to have a certification? Yes, because some people, especially consumers, they want to know where you got your education, which, yay, SWIHA is accredited. We have been recognized for our trainings for now. SWIHA is 33 years old. Like, we're good. We know it. And just adding that additional layer of certification for some just enhances your business for those that are interested in doing that. So that was a very long-winded answer to a very simple
It
question.
was so good, it's the reason I ask it, because you take it exactly where it needs to go. And for those of you who are with us, I'm going to show you the options that James is talking about. But the beautiful part about this is, yes, we started as a massage school, almost 35 years ago, and we've added on so many modalities because they all work so hand in hand,
Oh yeah.
right? And we're all about holistic education, which, for those of you who don't know what holistic means, it's like, just add a W on the front of holistic. It's the whole self, mind, body, spirit education. So it is like the collective approach to self. And like James said, it's the interpersonal journey of going inward. And we're going to show you these options, but this is the like foundation program in almost all of our programs, right? So we have our diplomas online, our degrees, our certificates, but life coaching at its core is such an essential component, because you're holding that sacred space to ask the questions. And this is the part that still kind of irks me, James, is like, people think of a coach as someone who's like, yay, hooray, yay, telling you what to do, right? Coaching, pointing direction. And it's like, yes, at the end of the day, we're able to sit and listen so intuitively and see, right? What your truths are. So asking the powerful questions, it's not making these bold statements, it's holding space for you to make your own bold statements. Right, James?
Yeah. So two things. So
Hmm.
coaching really is at the foundation of absolutely everything else that we do.
Hmm.
And it's funny because sometimes I'll hear it in like the intro weekend, which is like the core requirement of pretty much all programs.
Hmm.
And people are just like, but I don't plan on being a coach. I'm like, whether you know it or not, I'm like, you are going to be a coach, whether you're doing hypnotherapy or Reiki or massage or yoga. What's going to make you a great professional is your ability to coach individuals with every modality, because with all the other modalities, right, the really great professionals that I've worked with, say a massage therapist, for example, will give me a really awesome bodywork session. And yet throughout the session, there might be moments that they're actually coaching me, that they notice where I'm holding stress or tension in certain areas of my body, and they'll bring awareness to it and say, okay, do you know what this is connected to? Do you know what this is, what you're holding in your body? Do you know what okay, so I'll think about that for a minute. And before I get off the table at the end of a massage, they're giving me homework. It's like, okay, I want you to go home and do certain stretches or do certain things. I want you to journal. I want you to meditate. I want you to like certain things to do, because it'll allow them to go deeper in their massage the next time I get on the table. And so it made that massage much more effective, and it makes the service more valuable, because instead of me just getting put on a table, have a great bodywork session, okay, thank you, off you go, we're having a dialogue about how can we go deeper? How can we make this massage even better each time we come together and release really what does not want to be held onto in the body? So again, I use just massage as an example.
Perfect.
Hypnotherapy, same thing. I don't do a coaching session without some form of guided imagery or hypnotherapy. It's like, okay, you're telling me this is what you want. You're telling me this is where you want to go. All right, let's visualize that for a second. Let's close our eyes. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Envision your future self on the other side of where we are right now. And then when we come out of the visualization, coach mode, here we go. It's like, okay, now that you know what that looks like and feels like, here we are today. What are you going to do about it? What's that first step? How can I hold you accountable? What do you need from me to help you to keep moving forward? And, yeah, okay, we're cheerleaders to some degree. Yes, and okay, we are accountability partners, because historically what coaches have been really effective at is that accountability piece, because we know that many people, even in our personal lives, right, if we say we're going to do something and we're left to our own devices, 9 times out of 10, something else happens, or life happens, or some other excuse comes up as to why we didn't start it, why we didn't do it, why now is not the right time. And if nobody else knows about it, then nobody's ever the one, nobody's none the wiser, basically. But if you have a coach and you say, this is what I want to do, and we create a game plan, and you say you're going to take this step, I want to know, when will I know that step is taken? When will I know this is done? As a coach, are you going to text me? Are you going to call me? Are you going to send me an email? Are you going to send me a picture? Like, how will I know that it's done? So that we can then meet again and keep taking steps forward, because now you're accountable to more than yourself. And part of what we teach in coaching is also beyond just the coach, it's social accountability. Is that when you let friends and family, or even on social media, when you let people know that you're going after a certain goal, you've made it real. You've let people know that this is what you're going to do, and others are going to hold you accountable and say, okay, if you said you're going to write a book and you put it out there and you let everybody know you're writing your book, there are people out there that are going to check up on you every now and be like, so how's that book going? Is it done yet? When is it going to be published? When can I buy it? So there's a lot of accountability beyond just you as the coach, that we teach, because it's about, who are the people in your life that support you? Who are the people in your life that can lift you up? That when we're not together, or, coach and client, we're not having that moment, who's going to be in your life to nudge you along, at the same time? So, yeah.
Actionable accountability, those are like kind of the two keywords that I've been using lately. Is like who we are, what we
Yep.
do. Um, it's also the processing, like James said, if you have a massage therapist or an esthetician and they name it, right? And then they ask the questions, you get to go deeper. You have this aha moment. It's really my diet. Oh, it's what I'm eating. Oh, it's what I'm intaking. It's the news. It's stressing me out. You can name it, but then your coach is going to help plan actionable movement forward, which also helps with retention, client retention. I don't care what field you work in, right? It's okay, here's what you're going to do. Meet with me in 2 weeks and then we're going to reassess, right? So perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me see what questions we might have. Looking into holistic health and wellness coaching with a concentration in nutrition. I see multiple CUs I'd be interested in while I'm in my program. Can financial aid be used for extra hours for CU classes? And when is the best time to take those classes? James, you want to take that?
So it's kind of a mixed bag. So I know financial aid is only for programs of 600 hours or more. So that would be one of our diplomas or degrees that you would have to sign up for, with coaching as one of your specialties. So the beautiful part with our programs is that, if you take a diploma or degree, it is financial aid eligible. And most diplomas and degrees have room for upwards of 3 or 4 different specialties within the program that you can take. So that's why I say coaching really is at the core of everything that we do, because you could do life coaching and health and wellness coaching and add in like holistic nutrition or yoga or Reiki or hypno or polarity or any other modality. The question really becomes kind of, what is your end game? Can you take individual certificates? Can you take the 100 hours of life coaching or the 200 hours of health and wellness coaching? Yes, that will be an out-of-pocket expense that can be either paid up front or it can be done on a payment plan. And I believe the way the payment plan is set up is that it's done so in a way so that the payments are complete by the time the program is over. So it's broken up over the length of the program. So yeah, so that's kind of the difference as far as where funds are available. Any additional just kind of CE courses, those are going to be out of pocket just as is, and you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to take. But yes, those would be out of pocket. So anything financial aid is going to be specific to diploma or degree with a specialty with coaching and whatever other ones you choose. And the reason I say whatever other ones you choose is because SWIHA is an entrepreneurial based school. So what that means is that we have completion and placement requirements. Completion is, are our students graduating? Yes. Placement is, are they utilizing their education to gain some type of training related income? We have to prove that as well in order to be eligible to be accredited and maintain financial aid. That's one of our standards. And so the beautiful part about our programs is that we do have a business component within the life coaching and the health and wellness coaching program. And for those of you taking the diploma and degrees, we have business classes that are part of the programs that are designed to build your practice, to build your plan, and to actually have you launched before you graduate. And so part of my day job, aside from teaching the coaching program, is that I serve as a success coach, and I'm the director of business development and community outreach for SWIHA. And so we do lifetime support for our students and graduates. And what that means is that they can come to me, for example, for coaching around their plan. Okay, how do you want to show up in the world? What are you the coach for? Who is your client? What are you charging? We'll go into packages, pricing, programs. If you want to teach a workshop, if you want to teach a class, if you want to have a retreat, if you want whatever your vision is, okay, I get to coach you through that. I know, Becca, you've been supporting as a success coach with all these wonderful interviews and webinars and tools and resources. And a lot of it, I believe, you post to the main SWIHA page, and then we have our Lean Into Success page and our community page. So lots of resources there. And then we have Jasper Marie. She's in North Carolina, and she supports coaching around branding, marketing, social media, really kind of getting your message out there. So we really are, as an institution, a one-stop shop for not only getting your tools and your education, we are also the place that's going to get you launched out into the world. And the beautiful part about placement is that it's really your vision. Some people are doing this because they want to, they're done with the job that they have. They want to switch and make this a full-time gig. Others, they like their job. They like what they're doing. And this maybe is just a part-time gig. For others, it's just gig work. It's like, I've taken this education and I want to go on a vacation next year. So I'm going to teach a workshop. I'm going to work with a few clients. I'm going to get the money that I need to go on my dream vacation until the money runs out. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to do it all over again because there's something else in my vision board that I want to attain. It doesn't matter how it looks, but the whole thing is, are you getting out there and using this in a way that is in fact supporting others and supporting you, right? Because this is so much more than personal development. This is you growing into another stage and phase of your life. And we as a school are essentially the big coach, where we are holding you accountable to whatever your end goal is that you will discover as you go through your programs. And we do spend a lot of time. I will say this. My biggest pet peeve is what I see on Facebook and Instagram all the time of all these other coaching trainings that are out there, where it's like $99.99 for a day, an 8-hour coaching training, and be a certified life coach, and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm having a panic attack just because at the end of the day, I'm like, in no world are any of those programs providing anything of substance that is going to make you an effective coach. Because sometimes on our end, people come, well, why is yours 100 hours? And why is health and wellness coaching 200 hours? And why is, because we spend the time giving you not only the tools and resources, we have clinics, we have practice sessions where you're working on each other. We have clinics where you're working on the public and doing public sessions. Your recording sessions to have one-on-one feedback and review from your instructors. We're diving into not only how do you coach, we're also diving into topics of how do you coach to people around stress and chronic stress? How do you coach to health, abundance, and prosperity? How do you coach with relationships and communication? How do you coach in business? Like, we dive into specific topics so that not only do you know how to coach, you're able to get a little taste test of all these different arenas that you may consider being a coach for, and then we expand upon that. Right? I'm very passionate about this only because, again,
I
it's
love it.
to our credibility as an institution, but to the program itself. I'm like, if you want something of quality, of substance, that you can honestly say that when I am done with my program at SWIHA, whether it's the diploma, the degree, or just the certificate itself, you will have exactly what you need to figure out what type of coach you want to be. You will have exactly what you need to launch a business or a practice of your choosing. And you will have the tools and the resources as far as us as coaches to keep you moving, which is something that you are not going to get anywhere else. And I have done my research. I have looked at all these programs, and there's a reason why we do what we do. And there's a reason why 33 years later, SWIHA still exists, doing the things that we do in the world that we live in right now. And it is amazing. And so that's just me. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it. So.
No, absolutely. And I love your passion around this. And I love this term too, is also be coachable, right? Every coach has a coach, and we also get to sit in that hot seat in class and we are coached. Is it always comfortable? No. Is that a requirement? Absolutely. Because you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be stretched. Like James said, it's in that outer portion where you're like, oh, but it's so comfortable here. And I love being told everything I like to hear. But what about what's uncomfortable to hear? What about the subconscious things and the tendencies, and you're still showing up this way? Oh no, I'm not. And yet we are. Me too. Me too. I still catch myself from time to time like, whoop, whoop, whoop. That's the past program. And knowing my own tools, yes, we can coach ourselves, but it's also about being able to fall back in that humble humility space to go, okay, what might I not be seeing here, right? Or what part of me actually likes that,
Yeah.
or, why are we drawn to those things? So, it can be uncomfortable, and it's okay, right, James?
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. In all of the marketing for all these like wellness programs and things, you always see the other side of it, right? It's always
Mm.
people like, frolicking through the fields, or everybody standing on the top of the mountain, and every
Yeah.
like all this wonderful stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, that's where you'll end up. I'm like,
Right.
but the whole part of this process is that it's messy, it's ugly, it's uncomfortable, it is sometimes painful,
Hmm.
emotionally, spiritually, because when you start changing the things about yourself or changing the things about your life that have been needing some shift, things start to happen. And it's that whole quote that, what does it say? That when it feels like things are falling apart, they're actually falling into place. And
Hmm.
that's kind of the whole point of coaching, is to get real with yourself and to essentially break you down to your foundation so that you can build yourself back up, knowing that there are certain factors in your life, maybe certain connections, certain people, certain opportunities that will fall away, to make room for other opportunities, other people, other things to find their way in, because you're living in such a way that you are more in alignment with your truth and more in alignment with your purpose. And when you do that, you start attracting like minds, you start creating opportunities. And one of the things that we do teach, is that even from a business or professional perspective, it's not about having a successful life. It is having a fulfilled one. And that's an old Tony Robbins quote. And that's what he says. It's like, there's a difference between a successful life and a fulfilled life, because success can be taken away. And so we're looking at fulfillment. Fulfillment is value. How are you fulfilled in your mental, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual bodies? How are you fulfilled in, giving back to your community, showing up in the world and giving of yourself in some way, shape, or form? Because we know that a huge part of the business component is, do you volunteer? do you show up? Do you donate your time, or do you donate money, or do you donate? Because part of what creates sustainable wealth is not just financial. What creates sustainable wealth is how much we are giving back while we are creating for ourselves. Because you find that you create more relationships, you create more opportunities, and you create more for yourself as a whole when you are showing up in the world in ways that are beyond yourself. And statistically, it has been proven that people spend their money on and or care about businesses or individuals that run businesses that have it as part of their values or a standard of practice, that they are creating some good in this world in some way through what they do. So that's a win-win situation. It's definitely something that we love doing as a school, because SWIHA participates in so many partnerships and so many different community causes to give back. And I do believe that's what's created a lot of additional opportunities for us as a school, because we believe in creating for others while we're creating for ourselves. So
Absolutely. And it's the energy exchange, and we reap what we sow. That is real. And I'm just going to share the start dates here. So for all of you who are attending, the on-campus start date is January 16th, online January 12th. We want you to get enrolled at least 2 weeks prior to your start date. It looks like Lioness Erin says, I just hopped on Facebook and saw this live first. I'm so happy I got to see it. I have learned that actually takes skill to know the right questions. It's not as easy as it sounds as a coach. She's going to SWIHA, learn from experience. Yeah, Coach James is also knowledgeable, and I feel so lucky and blessed to learn from the best, in my opinion. We just started how to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you know that, James. I can't wait for class on Thursday. I love it.
there we go. I love that. And, especially for those, so obviously I primarily focus on the on-campus programs, and it is myself and my co-instructor, Debbie Chamberlain, who is amazing. I brought her
Mm,
on almost 2 years ago now, and she is the mindfulness queen. She absolutely
mm,
loves all things about mindfulness, meditation. She is obsessed with the brain and how the brain
mm,
functions and how it influences how we think, how we act, how we behave. So she has brought another level to a lot of things that we've done on campus through her approach and her own business that she has. But on campus, if anybody is local
mm-hmm,
and you're on the fence, I always remind people that we have our guest passes. That Friday night, that weekend, that 20-hour weekend intro is a full immersion and essentially a bird's eye view of what the rest of the program is about. It is a full immersive experience that, 20-hour weekend sounds like it's a lot. It goes by like that. And that Friday night, 6 to 10, and then Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 6. If anybody's sitting on the fence and is not really sure but wants to have an experience, come to the class on Friday night. Just show up and come into the classroom and
mm-hmm.
have that experience. And then obviously, like I did, I drank the Kool-Aid, I never left. You're going to love it. And when you love it, then yeah, that's when you go through admissions, and you're going to want to kind of have a deeper conversation about your intention and your own why, knowing that that is what's going to get yourself in the door at SWIHA, is being clear that, what, in the beginning, it is, I know I want to help, or I know I want to be a support to others. And as you go through your programs, you're going to figure out exactly what that help and support looks like and what that means. Because then when you take your business classes, it's creating that vision and making it real. And then it's launching. It's getting you out there in the world in a different way. So it's fantastic. And I love everything that we teach because it's so hands-on. So, a lot of people also come to SWIHA. Also, part of the reason why I came to SWIHA, even after a traditional college, is because I am more of a hands-on and visual learner. And so being able to not only get the tools and resources, but to have actual practice, to have actual clinics, to get one-on-one feedback in the moment experiences, you can't replace that type of learning. And, there's a difference between, education that simply teaches memorization versus education that teaches understanding. And we do both because we have to make sure not only do you know the material, but that you embody the material and you can actually practice with confidence and put yourself out into the world into a, as the mission says, a loving and profitable way. So
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Definitely call us, email us, connect with an admissions coach, take it deeper, allow them to ask you the coaching questions. That's why they're called admissions coaches. Everyone that works at SWIHA is asked to take the life coaching program because it also makes us better employees and we can have more productive conversations. Are all conversations comfortable? No. Are they meant to be? No. And it's healthy to have, different perspectives and then meet that middle ground together. So call us, take it deeper for yourself. Like James said, come sit in on class Friday and yeah, see what life has in store for you. Answer your call, figure out the why and how that will show up in your life. Thank you as always, James. I know you're so
thank
busy
you.
and blessed. So thank you for always showing up as you do in all the ways.
Always
All
go
right.
enjoy,
We'll
enjoy the
see you
rest of
in
the week and
class.
weekend.
Keep inspiring and holding everyone accountable. All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.